Blackstone presents The Dom Who Came In From the Cold by Lexi Blake. This book is read by Ryan West. Prologue. Dallas, Texas. Present day. Kyle Hawthorne stood in the darkness, peeking through the filmy drapes to glance down at the parking lot below. A tiny clown car moved into a reserved space, and he knew his prey had finally come home. He shouldn't think about the woman he adored as prey, but he'd decided he needed his inner predator if he was going to get out of the trap he found himself in. For a brief while, the woman who was getting out of the small torture device she called a car had lulled him into thinking he could be the man he once was. The man who'd gone to college and had a normal future in front of him. The man who'd never thought about joining the Navy and would have laughed hysterically at the thought of being in the CIA. The man who would never have even thought about leaving her behind in the cruelest way. Julia Ennis had reminded him of everything he'd become. It had been a different person entirely who'd prompted him to think he could be both. A now dead man had poked and prodded him and made him see that this life was fucking short, and if he couldn't have MaeBe Vaughan by his side, it might not be worth living. Of course, he had to keep her alive, and that could prove to be a hard thing to do. A man slipped out of the passenger seat. Actually, what he did was unfold his big body and climb his way out of the car. MaeBe had always assured him her car would save the world someday, but that sucker had been hell on his spinal column. He might have to rip this guy's spine right out of his body like the movie Predator. West Rycroft. Straight off the range and into the bodyguard unit at McKay-Taggart. He was going to have a long discussion with his uncle about what constituted a proper guard for a woman in MaeBe's situation. It certainly wasn't a baby Dom who was barely out of training, both at Sanctum and the office. MaeBe required someone with experience and knowledge, and the will to ensure she followed orders when it came to her safety. West Rycroft was barely good enough to carry her bag. Had they used the time they'd spent in lockdown at Sanctum to play? Had West been trying his new skills on the most luscious sub in the world?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?